Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Marco here. So, it's been a long time since I've used YouTube to make videos, but I guess I'm going to try and start up again just because there's a lot happening in Prince Edward Island, Canada, and just the US in general that I feel it's worth it to do so again. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I was thinking of making this video. I went through some of my older ones, and even though they have very few views, there's a lot of engagement. I got a lot of comments, people that watched it from the beginning to the end, and they had a lot to contribute. So it does seem that some people get something out of it. So, as long as that continues to happen, I guess I can keep working on it and see what we can come up with. But so what I want to talk about here is that the fall legislature in Prince Edward Island just started happening again on November 7th. And it was quite eventful. There's a lot of moments to pick from, but obviously what dominated discussion was the Community Outreach Center. So residents are obviously quite angered at the fact that this center basically through Peers Alliance and Prince Edward Island and maybe other groups hands out needles and pipes and makes it much easier for drug addicts to congregate and do their activities and so forth. And what this basically has led to is a spike in violent crime in the area. Everything from theft to assault to harassment to break-ins. I mean, even just recently, there was basically, I don't know what you would call it. Is it arson or is it attempted murder when you light somebody's house on fire with them in it? Just really shocking things that while I was growing up in PI, we just never had to deal with any of this. This is all brand new, and so the residents are quite rightly upset, and the politicians, I don't know, we're gonna get to this clip that's quite staggering that shows what some of the politicians are thinking about all this. So having said that, let's get right to it. This is the most memorable point. This is a clip of Carla Bernard talking about the Outreach Center and her personal experience with what has been going on with the area. So let's let her talk now and see what she has to say.
I share with you my own personal experience with living here. When we talk about harm reduction, which is absolutely necessary, we should have known right away that that would mean there are going to be needles. There are going to be there's going to be more debris than usual.
Did you let your constituents know that?
Of course
when
there
this
is.
community center was moving, that there was going to be more needles everywhere? Did you let them know?
So my son finds needles on a regular basis. Often when I get home from work, I'm walking over to the park with my phone to find out where they are so that I can call in to Public Works and get them to pick up the needles. That's very normal.
It's very
in a household.
Normal. That she
My
goes
son, when he
around
first started to
and
find
finds
them,
needles everywhere.
Literally, when
Very
he gets home
normal.
from school, he walks in the house, he throws a soccer ball, he throws a school bag, not a soccer ball, grabs a soccer ball and goes to the park. And the other day he came in, this was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, he came in and he threw a soccer ball and he laid on the couch with big tears in his eyes and he said, I just can't play outside anymore, Mom, it's too discouraging.
So your son's traumatized. You admit that your son is traumatized.
The other day,
in the area.
this was maybe 3 weeks ago, I'm sitting in my backyard, relaxing, enjoying a nice, sunny, I don't remember what kind of evening it was, Saturday maybe, and he comes and he starts telling me this story, and of course I'm tired, I'm only half listening, but then I started hearing him say, and he resisted arrest, Mom, and the police officer jumped on his back, and I said, what? When did what? Where? And he said, at the park. I said, when? He said, just now. We need to evaluate the services we have. There's not enough of them.
Listen to any more of it. Trust me, there's nothing. There's not anything useful that comes out from Carla Bernard speaking. Nothing really. I'm sparing you guys by cutting that short. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, this is a fascinating video. I mean, if you look at her, she's almost gleeful at the fact, recounting how she, after work will go around with her cell phone, calling Public Works, looking for needles, and her son finds needles all the time. And, what is going on here? Why is she, happy about it? She's almost, bragging about this. I personally don't understand what's going on here. So it kind of made me think, right? So it made me think of Brian Carson, and I might put up a photo here, or I might even play the video as I'm talking. Brian Carson, if you'll recall, he was an activist, I believe, in New York City, and he was one of these woke activists who bought into Black Lives Matters, defund the police, and everything else. And basically, he was murdered at around 4 a.m. in New York by a black teenager for no apparent reason. I don't know, I guess from what I understand, that was a neighborhood where white people are just not supposed to go. And so he was white, and so he had to be killed, I guess. And, obviously the irony of it, that you're a Black Lives Matter and you get stabbed for being white, so the story was quite out everywhere. And basically, his girlfriend bought into this whole woke ideology, whole Black Lives Matter, that she refused to give the police a description of what this murderer looked like and whatever else. Like, that's how committed she was to this Black Lives Matter ideology. And somebody that I followed on Twitter, I'm not sure, I don't quite remember his name. He's a fitness influencer, but he comments on the political and culture wars. And he brought it up that, these woke people, this woke crowd, they buy into this ideology so much that they're just so happy to sacrifice their family, their friends, even themselves to advance this cause, right? And they do it happily. And this is immediately what I thought of when I saw this video from Carla Bernard. That's what it was. She is almost bragging about the fact that she is willing to jeopardize her son's safety, take away meaningful experience from her child by not letting them play in the park, because she cares about drug addicts so much that she is willing to put up with people, she is willing to put up with needles, with all the junk, with all the drug paraphernalia, with whatever else that entails. She will put up with all of it because she cares so much about these drug addicts. Which, I don't even know what to say to something like that, how do you make sense of that? This is someone that's completely enthralled by this ideology, and what I think it is, it's almost like a mental illness at this point. I've began to describe, in my dealings with the people in Prince Edward Island who embody this woke ideology, I describe it as a cult. There's no other way. These people aren't thinking right anymore. These people, I don't know we have such radical different views. I don't even know how to reconcile it anymore. It's truly shocking. So what I think a proper way to think about this is, if Carla Bernard wants to give her money to organizations that will hand out needles and pipes and just cause a spike in crime in her neighborhood, I think that's fine for you, If you want your yard to have needles in it and whatever else, that's fine for you, You live your life the way you want to. However, I don't think you have a right to impose that on other people, your constituents. You don't have a right to make that call for them, okay? If they want to live in a safe neighborhood and not having to worry about drug needles, just like I didn't have to worry about it when I grew up in PI, and you didn't have to worry about this when you grew up in PI. You don't have a right to impose this on people now. So it's been made very well clear that your constituents do not support that center. They do not support this drug enabling programs that you have going on. So you need to work and listen to the people that pay your salary and your benefits and will be paying your pension in the future. You need to show greater respect to them and do what they ask of you. That's the thoughts I have on that. What else do I have written down? Oh yeah, there's this other theme about concerning what's going on with these drug addicts, that anytime somebody criticizes the center or whatever else, the call is always you need to show compassion, you need to have heart, you need to have whatever else. And again, it's this whole idea that if we think of our society, the people at the very top seem to be, according to basically woke activists or people who embody this new woke ideology, seems to be indigenous people combined with trans people combined with drug users. Those seem to be the people at the top of the pyramid, and they get special privileges, they get special treatment. Well, of course, people of color if you're black. Special treatment, special privileges, and special programs, so you'll be getting tax dollars in one way or another. And their well-being is at the top. As Carla Bernard clearly stated in this video, their interests are greater than the interests of your family. Again, I think that's crazy thinking. And the person that spoke after was, I guess, Peter Bevan Baker, and he described this as an intractable problem. That's a very nice word, by the way. I had to look it up in the dictionary. I like that word. Very erudite of him. I used a fancy word myself. Yeah, like, I don't know if we can quite describe it as that it is a difficult problem, but it's actually, the solution is quite very simple, okay? And the thing is, these problems around PI have been decades in the making. You're not going to get out of it very quickly. It's going to take a while. But it seems to me the number one thing that people have to do is that, like, I think he said, he was saying, you know, we don't have to sacrifice the well-being of the neighborhood, or we don't have to sacrifice the well-being of these drug addicts. We can both bring up the neighborhood and bring up the drug addicts so they both prosper. Yeah, I agree, there is a way to do that, probably. But right now, what you're doing is you're both bringing the neighborhood down, you're not helping these drug addicts, and you're pissing countless hundreds, probably millions of taxpayer dollars down the drain, money that realistically you don't even have, because the people of Prince Edward Island made some of the lowest wages in Canada combined with some of the highest tax rates. So you would really think you would show a lot more concern for taxpayer dollars, because these are dollars that you're taking from poor people essentially. So anyway, I forget what even my point was. Oh yeah, my point is that I think you can help both these groups, but if you had to choose, if you come to me, it's like, no, we can only save one group. Who do you choose? Well, it seems like the Green Party chooses the drug addicts, where I'm going to say the thing, which is, I guess, like, it's taboo. You're not supposed to say it, but I'm going to say it. If I have to choose one, I'm going to choose the neighborhood, you know. I'm going to choose single mothers. I'm going to choose families. I'm going to choose seniors. I'm going to choose kids. I'm going to choose, like, yeah, you know what? Let's take care of them first. Let's make sure they're safe. Let's make sure they can walk around and not be assaulted. Let's make sure that they can walk around and not worrying about needles. And only after that, their interests are well protected, do we start looking at what happens with the drug addicts, what we can do to help them. So I don't think it's wrong to think that way. I don't think it's wrong. I mean, this is why I don't know how we even started thinking this way, that it was abnormal to want the best for yourself and your family. Like, how can you place the well-being of a violent drug offender who's terrorizing your neighborhood, how can you place his well-being ahead of the well-being of your child? There's something, I don't know what it is. Like, my degree was in business. I studied accounting, so I read a few psychology books, but I can't even remotely understand how it comes that a person would choose a violent drug offender over their child's safety. I can't make sense of it. Maybe if somebody's got, like, is a psychologist, they can comment below, and maybe they have some ideas, or they can point me in something that I could read, something that I could study, that I could understand, because I seriously am stumped. I have no idea. I did order some books on drug addiction, because yeah, right now what I'm looking like is like none of the political parties seem to have any idea of how to handle this issue, so I wanted to start doing some research. So I ordered some books. They should be here by the end of November. it's gonna take me a little while to read them, so I'm still a long ways away from even becoming like, feel comfortable recommending real detailed solutions. But I just wanted to get this video out there about like this thinking by Carla Bernard, because again, it perplexed me to like a level that I just can't quite understand how a person can come to just think it's normal or it's okay for their child to be in that kind of environment and be like, yeah, this is fine. I actually want to double down on this. I actually want an injection site like in my neighborhood, so that we can make sure that that there's more needles and more drug paraphernalia around. It's the right thing to do, guys. Like, anyway, we're starting to ramble now. That's not good. So I'm gonna cut it out for now, guys. I might write an article about all this. Eventually I will write an article once I feel I got some good research done for the topic, but I'm gonna call it for now. Appreciate anybody who's listened thus far. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you all, guys, on the next video. Bye for now.